On today's episode of Funding Fanny, greetings, kings and queens, gods and goddesses. Laylo here. You are now watching the Laylo Show. Today, we're going to talk about the Fani Willis and Nathan Wade disqualification case or hearing or trial, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so let's back up a little bit and let's talk about how we got here. All right, so there was an election back in 2020 and Trump was trying to be president, and allegedly he called Georgia state, lawmakers, leaders, representatives, or whatever, and tried to convince them into finding some votes, which in turn made DA Fani Willis, who was the DA at the time, to bring charges towards him, or bring charges to him in the form of a RICO case, which she decided to do, of course, later on, which accuses him of trying to influence votes or steal votes in the election of 2020. All right, so that's why we kind of end up where we are right now with this case. Now, what Fani did was she indicted Trump not too long ago. The grand jury indicted Trump and about 16 other people, and they arrested them. They gave them bonds, and they officially charged them all under a RICO, with Trump being the lead on the RICO case, all right? For basically election fraud, okay? Now, what has happened is that Trump has hired attorneys and probably some private investigators to do their homework on the DA and the prosecutor of the Trump case, which is Nathan Wade, to try to discredit them and therefore making the case trying to get the case dismissed. Now, mind you, this is not a trial about Fani Willis and her relationship with Wade. Nobody cares about that. The problem here is, if she was dating Wade or having any type of relationship with Wade before she hired him to take this, to be the prosecutor on the Trump case, that is a ethnical problem in the system. Now, who am I to say this, right? Okay, I'm not a politician, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a judge, but what I am was a former lifetime criminal. Meaning I've been in and out of jail all my life. I've been in and out of jail, prison all my life. Been on probations. I've been in DUI classes. I've had my license suspended. I've been, arrested for robbery. Went to prison for robbery. I've stolen candy bars. I'm not just a guy who was just, was doing pretty good in life and made a mistake and then ended up in a bad position or in prison and then came home to change my life. No, I was a lifetime criminal. And I did a complete 180 this last time around in prison. And I just totally changed my life, and I haven't committed so much of a crime ever since, right? Don't plan on it, right? So that means I've been in trials. I've been a part of trials. I've helped other people with their legal work because of the things that I know and been through, as far as going in and out of the system. Once you go in and out of the system so many times, especially as a juvenile, all the way up to me, I'm in my 40s now. Once you go through the system so many times, eventually, you figure it all out, how it works, and you have no choice, because you got to go through all these proceedings, these hearings, these, do affidavits, and, you got to go to trial, and, it's so you started learning how the system operates and understanding, the language of the justice system. So Miss Fani Willis was on the stand yesterday for her disqualification trial, which is basically a bench trial. We heard some things about her saying like she's not on trial or whatever. Yes, ma'am, you are. You are, just a different type of trial. Now, how can I correlate that or make people understand that? Okay, so it's like when you go get a traffic ticket, right? and let's say you want to fight the traffic ticket, and the judge asks you, okay, do you want a jury trial or a bench trial, right? And of course, normal people they pick, let's say, jury trial because they're used to that term. But actually, the bench trial is better because you're letting the judge decide the fate as opposed to a jury. And judges actually have more knowledge of the law and how things work, especially if you are innocent and in the right. It's best to have a bench trial. So basically, this is what this is for Fani Willis. It's a bench trial. The judge is going to decide her fate with it, whether it be she is disqualified from the Trump case, or they're going to let her just stay on it. Now, I'm gonna just be straight up with you, man. I'm gonna be straight up with you. I watched the whole thing yesterday. I'm talking about from 9 a.m. until 5:30 p.m. I watched the entire thing, right? Now, and let me be clear, I love my black women. I'm not a Trumper, you know. I like Trump, don't get me wrong, but I'm not a Trumper. I'm not even voting, you know, for many personal reasons. I can vote. I got my rights back and all that. I can vote. I have voted, but I'm not voting. But that's another video. But I'm just, fascinated by trials and things of that nature. I'm even watching the Thug trial. I just don't want to speak on it yet. But with what I seen yesterday, man, listen. And I know it's a lot of women out there that support Fani Willis, and I would love to support her as well. I ain't gonna lie. But what I seen yesterday, Fani Willis should not be a DA, a district attorney. And we just talking just straight professionalism, straight understanding how the system operates, and because everything she did on that stand was opposite of what the knowledge of a district attorney should know to do and not to do. She did a bunch of you should not to do this. You know what I'm saying? Nathan Wade did a bunch of you should not to do this. And it was just, I give you a couple examples. Especially with Nathan Wade, he brought up the fact that he paid for trips, and she gave him cash for reimbursement on her half. All right, now, which is not a big deal if you're talking little money, but they got on record that it was thousands of dollars. And even Fanny came around the second time and say she might be walking around with $4,000 on her during the pandemic. Now, only people I know walking around with $4,000 right now in their pockets is dope dealers. I'm just saying, but in this particular case, they only get paid a certain amount of money. But most of the money that they're getting paid, especially the funding that they got to do the Trump case, is taxpayers' dollars. It's federal dollars. It's state dollars. Okay. And when you're playing with that money, you have to be careful what you do with the money. Not only what you do with the money, but what you tell the public you're doing with the money. All right. So the mistake here was it was a lot of cash being moved around. Nobody can find the cash. Nobody can account for the cash. Nobody even know where the cash came from. Right. Which was an ethical problem. When you're dealing with money that you've been paid already by taxpayers. So to make a long story short, she got hired or she got approved to charge Trump with the RICO case, which means she needed funding in order to do all this, to pay everybody to do their job. And she got a certain amount of money. I don't know how many she is, but we do know for a fact that she paid the lead prosecutor, which is Nathan Wade, $650,000 to do the Trump case, right? And, which equivalent to something like $250 a day, right? An hour, I'm sorry, $250 an hour to do the Trump case, okay? And with all of this money going around, nobody can really keep up with it. You're supposed to, but nobody can really keep up. But in turn, before she even arrested Trump, they end up taking 6 trips and a couple of cruises. I think they went to Jamaica or Aruba and a couple other places, right? And within 6 months, they took 6 trips in 6 months, and this is before they even, arrested Trump, from my understanding. And it's just clear that they got this money, and then they went on vacations, and went to Vegas and casinos, and it's like they just balling out. But everything was charged on Nathan Wade's business account card, and allegedly she paid him back her half of each trip in cash. And I'm gonna tell you something right now, man. I done seen many cases of embezzlement and fraud, and I done seen so many of them cases, man. The IRS is sitting here watching popcorn right now. So, because they the first thing, okay, so all right, school, where'd you get the cash from? Okay, man. Where did you get the cash? Oh, well, we keep cash in. This is what Fani said. We keep cash in the house. Really? So I don't know why she would say that, but when you say that, you're automatically giving them a warrant to search your home for this cash. Like, I don't know if she understood that. This is why I say she should not be a DA, because she is standing or sitting on the stand giving out information, whether it's true or not true. She shouldn't even be saying it. She shouldn't even brought up the word cash. Like, you have to make them prove that you're guilty. She is literally handing them the G for the word guilty, right? She's literally just giving it to him. Nathan Wade, he helped her. Like, he got on the stand. It's like, yeah, she just gave me cash, yeah, I paid $3,000, $4,000 for this, and she gave me like $2,000 and some shame back cash. Really? and what did you deposit the cash? No, I didn't deposit the cash. I just spent the cash. Really? Okay, where did she get the cash? Did she go to the ATM? I don't know where she got the cash. Man, where did you get the cash? I keep cash in the house. Man, listen, the court is just, this is why her attorneys just shut the fuck up. First of all, she wasn't even supposed to be there. Not at that time. She probably would have not had to testify if she stayed in her office. But for some reason, after the testimony of 3 witnesses, one of her old best friends, Nathan Wade's former partner, and Nathan Wade himself, after their testimony, for some reason, she decided to come down and testify. Now, her attorney was actually talking to the judge about her not testifying, trying to get her not to testify, when she walked in the room and said, "I'm testifying." That alone is just, that's an attorney's worst nightmare, and the DA knows that. Any good DA knows that. That's your worst nightmare for your client, when you're trying to fight for your client not to testify, for your client to come in and say, "I'm gonna testify." What are you talking about? We just had, because they had a conversation about this, and they probably like, "Look, we don't think you should testify." And I'm pretty sure I know why, because when she got the shit she said on that stand, it just screams guilty. First of all, her testimony and Wade's testimony contradicts itself so many ways. They caught Nathan Wade up in a lot of the questions. He didn't even know how to answer. He didn't want to answer. He actually did better than her, but he still did bad. That's number one. Number two, she got on this stand and acted as if she was in charge of the courtroom. And you not. You may have been at some point, but this is about you. And if you misuse federal and state funds to inappropriately. Now, mind you, Again, this has nothing to do with whatever relationship she had with Nathan Wade. This is about you misleading your supporters, you misleading your voters, you misleading or having sexual relations on the job when you're not supposed to be. Again, had they gotten to their relationship during all of this, while this was happening, and it just kind of linked up, she would get a pass at this point. But of course, that would also mean that she couldn't have been spending money here and doing this and paying him $650,000, because it's not about the fact that he hired her or she hired him. It's the fact that you were already in a relationship with the guy. So okay, let's back up a little bit. Nathan Wade is terrible too. He's a terrible prosecutor. One thing you don't do on the stand is explain yourself, right? You're talking to somebody that's been in trial, that then had to sit on and defend myself. But one thing you don't do is explain yourself. You always answer yes or no. You only explain if you are asked to explain. Both Nathan Wade and Fani Willis got on there several times and just wanted to run their mouth. Okay, so look, this what had happened. And then, and my daddy, and then my mama came, and you doing too much, you saying too much. You got to remember, this stuff is being recorded, and everything you say can and will be used against you. These are terms and rules and laws that a fucking district attorney and a prosecutor, especially one that's trying to prosecute a former president who is currently running for president, should know. I'm just saying, man. Like, this is stuff. She could have beat the case. She could have beat all this. Nathan Wade could have beat all this. If they had just, first of all, you could have beat it by just, first of all, dropping out. You could have just like, look, we ain't finna do this. I'm just going to, wave the white flag and just go on about my business. We not doing this. But nah, you want to just, you booked. You was like, hey, no, we going, I don't care what they say I did. We going, all right. So, you got to stand on that. You got to stand on that business. So, Fani Willis has gotten on the stand and basically destroyed herself. And this is what's going to happen. I make predictions all the time. She's going to be removed from the case. They're going to either find another DA to handle the case, and that DA is going to drop the case against Trump. Nobody's going to want to try this shit again. Because guess what? You got to use all of that stuff that just happened, that's happening right now, in order to finish the case. Nobody has the time or the patience to even be bothered with, and they already know Trump gonna dig some dirt up on them too. Especially here in Atlanta. Everybody got dirt. But that's not gonna happen. She's gonna be removed from the case. Nathan Wade's gonna be removed from the case. But here's another problem that's already in motion. I can guarantee it. The Fed's watching and the IRS are watching. They're gonna want to know where the money came, where the money went to, where the money came from. There's gonna be an audit. They're gonna audit the city. It's gonna get ugly after this. Whenever this is over, it's gonna get even uglier. I guarantee it. I had a couple of friends was like, hey man, Fani did a good job on the stand yesterday. If I was ever in need of a lawyer, I would get her. Man, if you pick her, I love y'all to death, but if you pick her as your attorney at this point, you're going to jail. And she's probably gonna go with you too. This is bad. Like, this is real bad. And I'm telling you, like, I wouldn't dare have nobody like that represent me, as even if I was a criminal. You talking to somebody who was a lifetime criminal. I know when to pick or how to pick a good lawyer, attorney. I know when a good prosecutor is going up against me. I know how this system works. I know how to read laws, documents. I know how to read I mean, whatever they put out, I know how to read it. I know how to understand it. I know the language. You know, I wouldn't represent myself because unless I'm just in just a terrible situation and I had to represent myself, I could, but I wouldn't want to. But I also would know who to pick as my representation and see if they know what they have to do. And what a lot of people don't know, especially when you're dealing with public defenders, a lot of people don't know this, but those criminals that's in jail and they're fighting a case and they have a public defender, a lot of times those criminals are in jail studying law to help the public defender bring up case studies and case laws that would help them in their case. It ain't always the attorney that's doing all the work and the criminal is just sitting in jail just waiting for a phone call. No, them boys got law libraries in every jail, every county jail. There's a law library you can go to that'll help you work on your case. They got typewriters, all that stuff. So don't think that people in jail just sitting around with knives all day and trying to stab each other and working out. Nah, like you got cats that's going into their law library every single day and calling home to their attorneys or their public defenders like, look, you need to bring this case up. You need to do this. You need to file this motion. Yeah, these guys are smart. You know what I mean? So, I would never pick an attorney that would get on the stand and speak. Now, there's nothing wrong with being a strong black woman, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when it comes to law and the system, the judicial system, you have to move a certain way. You have to speak a certain way. There's a certain language you have to use. And yesterday, what I saw, she did none of that. She got up there and just did what she wanted to do. That's an automatic L in the system. Especially if you got the judge who's going to determine it. Now, if you had a jury, you might have had a little leeway, but you got a judge knowing what you're doing is wrong. You are wrong. You so wrong, you look guilty. We ain't nobody even proved nothing yet. You already look like you're guilty. And that's exactly what she's dealing with like right now. And I believe, I'm not gonna say this for a fact. I know some things will be a fact, but I believe Nathan Wade is gonna flip. He's gonna flip on her and turn her in or whatever. And all this shit's gonna go to the shits. She's already had one of her best friends testify, oh yeah, they knew each other or was fucking with each other way before the Trump situation. She's already testified to that. And this is someone who ain't got nothing to gain from this. And she ain't got nothing to hide. Matter of fact, she got fired by her. So she's like, yeah, shit, I'm telling. That's what she did. You got Nathan Wade's partner. He didn't say too much, but he gave enough to say, yeah, that they was together way before then. Right? Now, the fact is not the fact that they was together before then or whenever together. The fact is they told the courts, signed affidavits under oath that they were not together during those times. Now, you got two people that's already came in and said, no, they were together. They witnessed it. They know for a fact they were together. And that's where your problem comes in. Fundle and Fanny. Look, Fanny Cash. Fannie Mae 2.0. The biggest Fanny. On today's episode of Funding Fanny, all that is just it's really over with. Like, really, they should have threw in the towel. I wish they could, but like I said, when it comes to these court proceedings, there's just certain things you have to go through. You have to go through it. And if you watch it, you notice her attorneys never objected to anything. They let her talk. First of all, she's the DA, so she's their boss. That's number one. Second of all, they already knew she had already crashed. I told you this before. She was going to crash out. That's exactly what's happening right now. She's crashing out. She's going to get fired, lose her bar, and she's possibly going to jail. But in conclusion, Fani Willis, she will be on the stand again today, along with her father's going to be on the stand, and I think someone else. But we're going to check it out. We're going to see what happens. But like I said, stamp this video because I made some predictions during this video. And we're going to see y'all next time on the Laylo Show. It's up.